request Surat Bhai to come and bless us. Surat Bhai.
Sajan Swami Maharaj Ji. Happy birthday, Mom. Where's I was actually just thinking, Vishal Bhai is here. Like Dinkar uncle had said that she had come to America at a younger age, and then when she came here, before coming here, she had already finished her bachelor's in India. But when you come from India at that time, it wasn't really working, so she redid her whole college education here. And at that time, she had me. And I was thinking that at that time, she had me during school, and she let my ba, Pushpa ba, raise me in India. And I was probably like, 6-7 months-ish, aspas. So giving a perspective, if you're supposed to send Ariana with Mortima to India for 5 years now, that's what she did. Just give you a perspective, just because she's that age, she's 6 months. And now that I think about it, it's really hard, because if you see that so much excitement when you have a kid, and then as soon as the kid comes, ship it to India. I raise it there. But even then, me and Saishnu, we joke all the time. We were raised on Abbott formula, so that's why we are ginormous compared to the Indian standards. The Abbott formula that Dinkar uncle used to ship from FedEx. And then later in the 90s, one big prasang, I guess, that I think she was still during school or finishing up school, and Bapu had asked her to write the book Yogi Vandana? Yogi Vandana. And I don't remember, but I still remember a few memories that I had, that at nighttime she would be writing, and then there'd be like a mistake because there was no publishing, no computers at that time. So she would write a page, and then like the third or fourth letter left on the page, there's a mistake, crumble it up, toss it, start writing that same page again. And if it's not perfect, Bapu has even stricter rules. So if the thing was not straight or anything, you'd have to write that page again. But even in that, she followed Bapu, and she has also confidence and said that because of that, she also got straight A's, because she wouldn't study and finish writing, but yet she would get straight A's and pass with flying colors in the exam days the next day, which is really, really wonderful that you can come here to set up a life, but yet you take priority of Agna, as Dinkar uncle had said, and we see the fruit of that Agna. After, I think in the 92 was Yogish, 92, right? I was little at that time too, but I still remember that. So that was we just got our house in Palatine, so we had no idea how to cut lawn, blow snow shoveling at the time. There's no plows. I feel like I'm old because I'm saying back in that time. I'm only very young. But in 92, Dad had gone there really early, I think about a month or so in advance, and and that was the first winter at the house. So we used to live in downtown or Chicago in Lawrence. So there, since you live in an apartment, there's no house maintenance. But when Dad was here the first year, in the winter he leaves to go to India, and Mom was completely okay with it. So she would be going out there, putting on her hat, shoveling snow, and then me at that time, 92, so I'm like, what, 5, 7? Me and her are shoveling the snow together outside. But even she didn't think that you've left me, meaning me as in Shilpa Ben, mother, and with me, Sruad, and at that time was Seishnu, who was born in March of that year. So she's taking care of us two, shoveling snow, and she is more than willing to send Dad to India to help serve for the Yogi Shatabdi, which was something that I always admired when I grew up. Even when I always say when Santos or anybody come, Dad doesn't have to ask to go. It's automatically known. It's okay. So for like, if we used to remember, for like few weeks, we don't see Dad for a few weeks because he doesn't show up. He's in Sabha, and which is amazing that both they had that understanding. They also both had the agreement. Because of that, whenever Santos come, I was also allowed to go anytime. I can miss school. It was great. So that this is all when I was younger, and then also growing up, like the Incredible was saying that she was very a huge force. They used to one thing that I was telling Pintu that really touched me that at a young age we used to do tar, we used to do arti, and then at that time we used to do Friday Sabha at Kirtingal's house, and that was the first time we started writing those shloks in English, and there was a packet, and that packet came to my house, and so that was like our instruction booklet for our night sabhas. And at a very young age, they gave that teaching. So even if it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, you're watching TV, 7 o'clock, tar time. So honestly, it was a learning curve for me. It was like, man, I have to turn off the TV, 7 o'clock. But it paid off so well because we learned that priority is God. That we, just like if you're eating, you have to allow God to eat. Side topic, but in Sahib's Bhagavad Sapta, Bhupendra Bhai Pandya, he had said that. I always remembered because it clicked, because that he's like, Tame ghare jamanu banao chho. Generally, people at home, you have father, mother, child, 1, 2, 3, whatever. Maybe a grandparent here, another. But yet, he said that, did you ever count God as another person in your house? That you should also count him and feed him as well. So, apre keep God in the front and feed. So, with that understanding that she would always, we would do arti, we would do tar, and because of that English thing, it was great because I can sing along or I can understand what it meant. And then if we fast forward in high school, then they became very, I remember one day, Amy Beng and Vimal Kumar's wedding. That was like the first time I was shaving, okay? This is like 9th grade. It was great. So the influences of my two brothers in the back there, they're like, you should shave. You don't need to ask your parents or anything. And so one day I came out and I was like, because I'm a dark person, I understand. So I had like a white strip along under my nose. And they looked at me like, what did you do? I was like, nothing. What's new? Not doing anything. He's like, what should I do? I was like, nothing. So my dad got pissed because he's like, you should have asked me. And then back to those two brothers, he's like, you don't have to tell anything. It's your face. You can do whatever you want. You don't need your permission. So that was already in there. So I was like, Dad, this is my face. I can do whatever I want to my face. There's no kids here. That's why I said the story. But he got really mad. But at that time, like mom's like, well, it's already done. Can't really do anything. But she helped me calm Dad down. And then after that, so then I was like, yes, she took my side. But then she explained to me that you should be understanding, okay, this is understandably your face, but there's a time there's a time for everything. And it doesn't have to mean that you can do whatever you want anytime. Sorry, that was just a side thing, just remembered. That was on the day of Bimal Kumar and Amy's wedding. And also when I was at the time of me deciding to be a sadhak, she had also helped very much and was my guiding force, supported all the way. We always say the Indian tradition is the mother is the soft, the father's a hard. Even during those times, I was not as obedient as people think, or I may be now, but she would be the mediator between me and Dad. Since Dinkango said I can say whatever. If you're okay, Dad. There was one time, this was even before, this is not even sadhak, this is just general. I have a hot head, even though I don't show that. Outwardly, hopefully. But he got mad at me one time, and I got mad at him back for getting mad at me. So me and him wouldn't talk for a while. And I remember we were having those eggplant sandwiches, if anybody knows what that is. It's okay. We had sandwiches that day. And I specifically remember that there's a ketchup in front of Dad that I needed to get because I was on the cross. And Mom is at the kitchen cooking, or like at the oven, getting the sandwiches out of the oven. And I was like, Mom, can I have the ketchup? So at that time, she wouldn't say anything because she knew. So she would come over, walk in front of my dad, pick up the ketchup table, walk around and give it to me. But even then, even when we had that prasang or whatever, she would still mediate and be calm. And because I would say that's not normal to do. I think if that was the case, that a mother would say that you should listen to your father. And she did say that. But in the end, she looked at the end goal and slowly nudged that into me, that you need to understand where your father's coming from and need to accept that. So that even at that time, this is me in like my teens, and I'm giving the silent treatment to my dad, and she still takes my side. And after taking my side and after doing that, she would make me understand that you should listen to your father. He knows what's best. May not come out the best way, but I can understand. But this was the thing that she had done a lot of times. She was mediating because she lives with me, my dad, and Saishin, with 3 guys, all alpha males, if you will. Everybody, and she she's very strong in that way. And sometimes, if she needs to, she can take all three of us down. So, um, um, but so, and she doesn't use that, only when it's needed or absolutely necessary. Um, but so I was saying that support she gave even during my Sadak chapter, and she would give that support. She would do dhun for me. One time, Dinkrankel, in Surah Motso 2010, no. In Surah Motso, we showed that prasang in the drama, if you remember, where Dinkrankel went to take an exam, and Dinkrankel's father, at the same exact time, did the dhun. So Dinkrankel had narrated that prasang few years, because I finished a few years before that. We just showed in that prasang. But so during my college time, every time I would tell her that there's an exam, I do remember on one of the final days, on my finals, she would take days off and do dhuns on the time that I had those finals. Because that was the time right before going to India when I finished. So she would take an extra day off out of her India trip, because India trips are very hard to get in normal world. So she would take days off, do dhun between whenever my final schedule is, and do dhun at that time, because she remembered that Dinkranka had said that. So he had asked some of the parents to do that, and she did that. And I really admired that, because I was like, I didn't know she had done that. And I woke up, and that year, that was my last semester, so I was commuting. And I was like, so you're still home? Because she leaves before me. She's like, yeah, I'm just taking the day off. And she didn't tell me why. But afterwards is when I found out. She's like, yeah, I was doing dhun for you. I hope you did well. And she would like message me. So that's the care and tender care, I guess, that she had given us. And now Dinkra uncle is very happy that she's still doing dhun. As you know, he was saying that I've been doing dhun with him every day for an hour. So whenever somebody calls, I get linked in the conference. So whoever calls, I get part of that dhun. So I think at that time, Tejal Babi had called, and he was like, Tejal Babi wanted to do dhun. I was like, okay. So he connected her, and he's like, and then after we did dhun with her, they were doing dhun for like 10 minutes, and then she hung up. He's like, yeah, I have very few people who actually call me and want to do dhun. These are gems. And today, he also said that mom does that. And he's very happy, because he knows I'm busy at work, but yet he still calls me to do dhun. And he really admires or likes that that mom calls her to do dhun, and not that she calls to do dhun, but she knows that dhun works, and she knows the person who's going to do dhun is going to solve her problems as well. So we really, again, we wish you a happy birthday, Mom. Thank you for everything. Terima kasih so much.
Sujahan